Welcome to Compai's Expat channel. Today I'm going to talk about Sosua, a tale of two cities. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, some people say Sosua is dying. Some people say Sosua is in a boom. Well, I'm here to tell you, they're both right, they're both wrong. Depends on your point of view and where you associate with and who you associate with. Let me explain. If you look at Sosua downtown and you go from as a good landmark, Banco Santa Cruz, they call it the Gringo Bank. That's because that's where a lot of extranjeros, a lot of foreigners, it's where we bank. Now, if you go from that to Playa Sosua, where the casino is, that section of town is dying a slow death. I'm not saying every business, but I'm saying if you look at the number of businesses that are for sale, it indicates that they're not having the revenue stream that they wish they were. Now, granted, there's always people selling businesses downtown Sosua. It's been that way for 14 years since I've been down here, and it's going to continue for the next 14 years. But the volume of businesses that are for sale is more than normal. And you have really good businesses that are for sale as well. As an example, the Jolly Roger's for sale. That's a landmark downtown Pedro Quilasante restaurant. Very well patronized by the Canadians. Very popular. Mateo's is for sale. Another landmark downtown Sosua restaurant. Bailey's is for sale. Another long-time downtown landmark bar. A lot of these places are for sale. Not to mention all the little restaurants and bars that are for sale on the opposite side of the street of Pedro Quilasante from Mateo's and Jolly Roger. So if you hang out in that part of town and you're seeing the fewer amount of tourists that are coming, you're going to think Sosua is in a downturn. And you're right, it is for that market. The people that are coming down here for shorter periods of time have to rely on credit. In Casa de Compai, my condo complex, the guys that used to rent a week from me now want to rent 5 days. The guys that would do 5 days, now they want to do 3 days. And the reason this is happening is because of the credit crunch. The M2 money supply is shrinking. When the government was giving out stimulus checks, giving everybody money, making sure businesses had enough capital, they increased the M2 money supply. Well, now they're taking that back because inflation is running rampant. So the banks are not lending out money, and when they do, credit cards, for example, they're jacking up the rates into the high 20%. That is absolutely nuts. On top of it, they're also shrinking the amount of credit that's available. So the guys that used to come down here on credit are having a harder time. Now we're going to throw in airline, the price of airline tickets. As of today is October 16th, 2023. We're waiting for the land war to begin between Israel and Hamas. When that happens, who knows how far or to the extent that war is going to go. But what it is happening, it's increasing the price of a barrel of oil. That directly affects the north coast of the Dominican Republic because that makes airline tickets more expensive. So the guys who are on a tight budget to come down here for that week, that 5 day, or even that 3-4 day vacation are getting priced out of the market. The cost of renting a condo is going up. High airfare, high interest rates to buy all those things. So yes, when you say downtown Pedro Quilasante is suffering. It is, because that market is hurting. So now let's talk where the boom is. The boom is around Sosua, around Pedro Kilasante. They're building everywhere. If you look where I live in Residencial Hispaniola, they must have 15, 20 houses being built as I'm filming this. That's what's driving the market down here. It's not the weekly tourist. And this has been the silent majority for the last 5-6 years. This is where the real influx, the injection of real capital is coming from. The people who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on their villa. When I purchased my villa, January of 2020, if I were to buy that same villa today, it would cost me $110,000 more for the same villa. I can't believe it. That's crazy. But that's what the market's dictating. And what's dictating that is the people that are paying that price. So the money that's going into Residencial Hispaniola, Casa Linda, Sosua Ocean Village, they're determining what the market is. They're driving the prices. And it's people who are upper and middle class who want to get out of their home countries, who decided, I'm taking my capital away. I'm taking it out. They're the ones who are coming down here and changing Sosua. I've been saying this for a long time. The cheap whoremonger and the underfunded retiree are getting priced out of Sosua. You're seeing it in rental sales, or in rentals. You're seeing it in villa and condo sales. And you're seeing it even on downtown Pedro Kilasante. Because even your food is getting more expensive. The lodging's more expensive. But the people who are coming down here and buying that $300,000 two-bedroom, two-bath villa can afford it. And here's something else I want you guys to think about. You have people who are renting villas based on the opportunity to rent them out. And the people that rent a lot of villas are pretty much two very different categories. You have the retiree who comes down here during the cold months, January, February, March. The snowbirds. And then you have the guys that are coming down here to tear it up for a week. And you're having a clash of cultures. When people were spending $170,000 for a small two-bedroom villa, they're a little bit more flexible what goes on around them. But the person that's spending $280 to $290 for that same villa, they don't want to hear the screaming and yelling. They don't want to hear the music. They don't want to hear the vulgar language. So if you're that guy renting that villa to the market who wants to party hard all the time, the associations are cutting back on that behavior, and you're losing your market. So you can't afford to maintain that villa, pay the fees, unless that's into the budget. But if you're requiring that rental income to help cover that house, think twice about who your market's going to be. And that goes into the boom and bust. This is why I believe one reason that you're seeing a lot of owner financing happening at the same time. When you see owner financing, these people want to unload that property. And they want to unload it quick. And they know back home, in our home countries, Canada, the States, Western Europe, they're cutting back on loans. They're making it harder to get loans. So the people who buy property down here come down here with cash. Either they pull it from their pension funds, or they have their savings, or they take a home equity loan. The home equity loan is drying up. It's harder to get money out. You got to have an 800 credit score, a 720 or higher. For my friends that are still doing mortgages, that are real estate agents back home in New Jersey. This is what they're telling me, and this is what my research has told me. So the more people coming down here with cash in hand to buy is few. It's not like it was 18 months ago. It's totally different. So they're going to do the owner financing. So yes, Pedro Kilasante is dying a slow death. What's going to change that? What's going to change it is when the balance tips. When you have more people living down here in the villa, in the gated communities full time. As it gets worse in Canada and the United States, I personally believe there's going to be more influx of people wanting to get out of those societies. If you look at what's happening in my country, the United States, your cities are on fire. Your cities, the crime rate's through the roof, the drug use is through the roof. The politicians, they're not doing anything about it. The American cities, the vast majority of them, are dying. And the people with wealth are getting out. If they're at the point in their life where they're able to stop working, they're going south or they're going out of the country. And the reason I'm saying this is because I get emails about it. John, I'm leaving Detroit. John, I'm out of DC. John, I'm done with Philly. I'm New York. I can't tell you how many people from New York. Because they want to get out. They don't want to live in that environment anymore. And they're moving either to places in the States that's more affordable, and a lot of them just want to get out altogether. So when it's those people who are driving the market for sales of villas and gated communities. And they want a different lifestyle. And their purchasing power is what's going to dictate the change. Not any government policy. Not anything the other business owners want to do. It's going to be adapt or die. I've seen this before. In 2008, 2008 to 2011, we slowly lost our European market. And the Europeans were great because they wouldn't just come here for 4 days just to enjoy the company of the local female population. It was a full-blown vacation for them. They would go to the beach every day, they would swim, they would snorkel, they would dive, they would go kite sailing. They were here to vacation and enjoy the Caribbean, not just for horizontal activities. And when the financial crisis of 2008 hit, a lot of European travel agencies would do a junket. You would book your flight and your habitation where you were renting all at the same time. Kind of like an all-inclusive package. When those businesses went under between 2008 and 2011, it was cheaper for the Europeans to go to Greece or Spain or Portugal for their vacations instead of coming here. This is when the internet took off. YouTube specifically. And there were two guys on YouTube who really pushed Sosua for certain activities. That was filled by the whoremonger. Well, then they became the sex tourists. Now we want to call them the Passport Brothers. Doesn't matter what you label them. It's still the same thing. The activity and the behavior is the same. Well, financially things are changing for the majority of that client base now. You're seeing the numbers drop. And it's being backfilled by the expat, the retiree, who has the money, has the means, and has the desire to change their country. And this is an easier country to do it. So, as more full-timers move down here,